Mr. Speaker, I have listened in dismay at how our colleagues on the minority bench have attempted to create the impression that the president veered off the requirements of the 1992 Constitution in the delivery of his address to this House. Mr. Speaker, Article 67 of the Constitution is quite clear that the president is to deliver a message on the state of the nation before this House. So if any president came here and focused his entire attention on telling us what the state of the nation is without going into what plans he has to address whatever problems he has encountered, Mr. Speaker, he will be well within his rights to do so. But right at the outset, President Mahama made it clear that he was not here merely to give an account on the state of the nation, but he was here to tell us exactly what he was going to do to get us out of the abysmal depths into which the Akufo-Addo government sank this nation. And Mr. Speaker, he inspired hope in the generality of the people of Ghana. I have also listened with considerable shock as our colleagues on the other side have insisted that the economy that they bequeathed to President Mahama and his government was anything to write home about. Mr. Speaker, during our days in secondary school, we read the books of the Venerable Professor Naa Afale Sakifio, who wrote in one of his books that the lizard says it is not as indignant at the boy who threw a stone at it than at the one who lauded the boy for having a good aim. It is bad enough that they bequeathed the country to the Mahama administration in the state that they did. But it is completely unacceptable and constitutes an insult to the people of Ghana to tell them that the terrible economy that they left is better than the one that they inherited. Mr. Speaker, fortunately, economic analysis is not done in a state of vacuum. Ghanaians have lived through the worst economic crisis in a generation. Ghanaians have lived through the worst economic crisis under the Fourth Republic, if not in the entire history of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, since the year 2020, or immediately after the elections of that year, the Ghanaian economy has been in a tailspin. For the first time in decades, a Ghanaian government defaulted on debt payments. And Mr. Speaker, there is no better measure of the collapse of an economy than the failure of a government to meet its debt obligations. When President Mahama was leaving power in January 2017, Ghana could fulfill its debt obligations. Mr. Speaker, our colleagues on the other side say that the economic indices they left were better than the ones that they inherited. Mr. Speaker, that cannot be true. Mr. Speaker, when the NDC was leaving power in 2017, our debt to GDP ratio, which is a theoretical measure of whether or not you can offset your debt in one bullet payment to the size of your GDP, showed that we could do that with barely half of our GDP and still have almost half to spare on other things. At a point, our debt to GDP ratio under the MPP leapfrogged to 104%. It meant that if theoretically we were to take all of our GDP and pay our debt with it, we will still require another 4% to do so. It is the worst in our history under the Fourth Republic. Mr. Speaker, the budget deficit is the greatest indicator of economic prudence, because the fundamental principle of economic management is that you cannot live beyond your means. Even in our own lives, if you spend far more than you earn, you would always end up in difficulty. Mr. Speaker, when we were leaving power in 2017, our budget deficit, which essentially measures the difference between your revenue and expenditure, was 6.1%. Mr. Speaker, since the year 2020 up until 2023, every single year under the MPP, they left double-digit deficits. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the exchange rates, in the year 2016, the Ghanaian cedi lost 9% of its value in the entire year. Mr. Speaker, last year, the cedi lost 19% of its value. The year before, it lost 24% of its value. The year before that, it lost 54% of its value. Mr. Speaker, our colleagues claim that they have left a healthy primary balance. Mr. Speaker, the primary balance is simply the difference between your revenue and expenditure minus interest payments, because that is almost statutory. You can't do anything about it. Mr. Speaker, they programmed a surplus or a primary balance of positive 0.5%. Mr. Speaker, I can tell you that on commitment basis, they have missed that target by 800% margin. And the day that the finance minister comes to this house to read the budget, he will bear it all. You cannot have that kind of primary balance and insist that your economy is healthy. Mr. Speaker, look at our public debt. They inherited a public debt of 120 billion Ghana cedis. And I remember distinctly that President Akufo-Addo stood to your right in this house and declared that the 120 billion Ghana cedi debt was unheard of. At the last reckoning, Mr. Speaker, our public debt stood at 721 billion Ghana cedis. Even then, Mr. Speaker, it was because they denied 1.3 million Ghanaian bondholders of the rights to earnings on their bonds. Mr. Speaker, the domestic debt exchange program, as Mr. President rightly noted, is the harshest economic policy in the history of Ghana. 240 billion Ghana cedis, which was due 1.3 million bondholders, were withheld. They were told that contrary to the agreement they reached with the government of Ghana, that they were going to be paid a certain interest rate, it was going to be reduced drastically. The maturity periods too were going to be extended. Even pensioners were not spared the ordeal. So for the first time in our history, our aged pensioners had to picket at the Ministry of Finance on a daily basis in demand of what was due them. Mr. Speaker, these indices point to one fact, that the Akufo-Addo-Bawumia administration have been the worst managers of our economy by far and away. And there can be no dispute about it. Mr. Speaker, our colleagues on the other side also ask that how is President Mahama going to finance his well thought through proposals on economic recovery? Mr. Speaker, let me address that. Mr. Speaker, in the last 6 weeks alone, 52 billion Ghana cedis of the debt that they bequeathed has been due for payment. So the finance minister has done what every finance minister has done, which is perfectly legitimate, rolling over the maturities. That is what has happened. That is the reason why, if you take Ghana's debt today, it has not increased by 67 billion. Mr. Speaker, but I was coming to what President Mahama intends to do to make savings that can be channeled into other areas of expenditure. Mr. Speaker, President Mahama made it clear during the campaign, and indeed, Ghanaians had urged upon the political class the need to reduce the size of government. So President Mahama stated boldly that in the event that he was elected, he will work with 60 ministers. This compelled our colleagues on the other side to immediately promise to work with 50 ministers. Mr. Speaker, these are the same people who defended to the hilt the appointment of 125 ministers. Mr. Speaker, it will interest you to note that the worst economic outcomes that this country has seen emanated from their performance between 2017 and 2020. After that point, all they did was to try to patch up for the wrongs of 2020. That terrible economic performance was brought about by the biggest government in our history of 125 ministers. That means that you don't need a legion of ministers to be able to manage the country properly. Now, Mr. Speaker, I use myself as an example of the savings that are going to be made by having a reduced government. My colleague on the other side, and my friend, Honorable Oponkruma, who, by the way, is my constituent also, used to have a ministry called the Ministry of Information. Mr. Speaker, that ministry had 76 people working there to manage government information. Mr. Speaker, as I speak to you, it is myself, a deputy, and 5 other people who now manage government information. Mr. Speaker, if you move from 125 ministers to 60 ministers, Mr. Speaker, that means that you are going to buy 16 less Land Cruisers. You are going to buy 16 less saloon cars. You will need to provide 16 less bungalows. You will need to provide 16 less sets of political aids, executive assistants, and what have you. Now, Mr. Speaker, President Mahama has not limited himself to just reducing the numbers of ministers. In any event, as I speak to you, there are only 56 ministers. And in fact, there are 42 ministers running Ghana as we speak, because deputy ministers have not been approved. 4 nominees have not been made to make up for the 60. But if you come to the presidential staff, Mr. Speaker, if you take out the civil servants under the office of the president, under the Akufo-Addo administration, there were 337 political appointees under President Akufo-Addo. As I speak to you, Mr. Speaker, there are 26 presidential staffers, people that you can classify as presidential staffers, and then 4 directors. As I speak to you, if you put together the total number of people who work at the presidency where I operate from, they will not amount to 60, Mr. Speaker. Yet they had 337 political appointees. So this is a man who wants to be prudent. And Mr. Speaker, the reason why that is important is that you send a clear signal to the people of Ghana that you are not here to feed facts on their public purse. You are not here to squander their money on the personal comforts of ministers and political appointees. Mr. Speaker, more importantly, Mr. Speaker, President Mahama gave indication, and I've heard them say that he came here to lament and that he didn't provide the way forward. Mr. Speaker, I have a copy of the State of the Nation address. 1 minute. President Mahama was very clear. He's a minister.
Mr. Speaker, he has just started.
Mr. Speaker, President Mahama was emphatic in the address that I hold in my hands that he was not here to lament, even though there was much to lament about. Mr. Speaker, how can we not lament a situation where 1.3 million bondholders are denied their bond savings? Mr. Speaker, they say that they left buffers. Mr. Speaker, when we speak about buffers, it simply means one thing: money that we set aside for the specific purpose of paying debts. Mr. Speaker, the account into which monies are paid for the purpose is what we call the debt service reserve account or sinking fund. Mr. Speaker, they claim that, this is not a fund that they were particularly not fond of, and that they didn't use it. It is not true. Mr. Speaker, in previous times, they have made huge transfers into and from this account. There was a time, Mr. Speaker, on 7th October 2024, when they transferred as much as $225 million into this account.
Baby, I will be our show me TVXYZ. Musa Muti will power 97.9 FM. Wednesday's edition of Inside Politics. Now, yeah, did you ready, bro? Memo Aqua baby, I will be a Mamuti will power 97.9 FM. So, yeah, Mamu Aqua ye papa. Inside Politics, you made any Yajin Kunya at Nasri. If you are Medicine Nicholas Yawusioson, will be to me Afro-Miki Nicholas meeting him. I'm a big brother, a regular host Mugabe Masi, which in Chikakra, Bibinti, and there. Boss ankasa entumi amba na ose bebefa na konya kese ne tena so na me no di dwumadi te se mo nimu di pepepe enti bebi a wo bia na memfa wonsa enka fidie no menko so nda TVXYZ ne power 97.9 FM me ka wo say yes stream live wo power 979 FM power 979 FM sa so na TVXYZ Ghana ni na Facebook obetumi ahwe dwumadi bi TikTok so ye ho sa so na YouTube so ye TVXYZ broadcasting and I say XYZ broadcasting and YouTube XYZ broadcasting YouTube no so betumi akwa redu media bi ma bibia etumi akọ enkansa His Excellency John Dramani Mahama enam so woni swade hunu na opese o man Ghana ye resetting ye na ye sika sam ye economy ne tumi gina ye nti o kan say o fa ne finance minister so honorable Atoba Forson minister in charge of finance na omo de dwumadi a friend a national economic dialogue 2025 omo de aba na omo tonsa first stakeholders ekuku da mo mu de ye ka economy omo betumi abekasa wo ho e de omo adwen kiraba na yetumi ebu oman Ghana yie na enema esipie kama because you resetted there na pese sanko echi na etutu bibia yie ma bibia tumi kama nti the national economic dialogue dwumadi no endra na 2 days endra na omo de ediba ewiye na endra na eseweni ensaid ye catchro ansa na omdi dwumadi no ebekwa ewiye no ye vice president Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyeman ye vice president papa bi okopie mu ho no de na no dsm de tudwa oni stakeholders ne kasaye so obi bia amfa no hunshim obi an get involved omuhia all hands on deck na say ye nya betumi aye adwuma no ye na yetumi atoto niam ye na transformation of Ghana's economy reforms ahroa ye de bebe betumi aboa na niam etumi akonkan no etumi akonkan nti okasa bebre ekukudam so mo so cheche o madwen na ye hwe hawa adwumadi ne kwa wi na very successful ye bompai say adwenchi obi bia de na adwen ko de ko kire ye de command penfo be ka bom na ya tutu niam yi na oman ni na no etumi akonkan na 2025 Ghana etumi akrabahwe na ye na aka say ye ka ho bi na ye boaye mayen konkɔhwe abra Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyeman the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana Odina News DCM or the two Ghana.
So the chairman and members of the planning committee, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, participants, the press, all of us who are here, who've been here since yesterday, I bring you warm appreciation and greetings. As we draw this national economic dialogue to a close, I want to extend my gratitude to each one of you for your active participation, thought leadership, and unwavering commitment to the future of Ghana's economy. The dialogue over these past 2 days has been insightful, productive, and has set the stage for a bold and transformative agenda. The theme, building a resilient and inclusive economy, resetting the foundations for sustainable growth, has been central to the concerns, discussions, and reflections that you have held. It has been clear from the dialogue that the journey ahead will require a strategic reset grounded in restoring stability and fostering growth and benefits for every Ghanaian. Our focus the 2 days has been addressing key drivers for national development. The dialogue has underscored the urgency of restoring confidence in our economy by maintaining macroeconomic stability, steadying inflation, strengthening our currency, and creating fiscal policies to support long-term sustainable growth, and of course also to align our policies with fiscal discipline and sound economic management. We recognize that growth must be broad-based, it must be deep. It should cut both vertically and horizontally. We must move away from over-reliance on a few sectors in order to enhance our competitiveness at all levels. The importance of improving productivity, embracing technology, and prioritizing human well-being through inclusive economic growth cannot be lost on any one of us. Infrastructure development as a stimulant to economic growth is pivotal. Modernizing our transport, energy, and communication systems remain important to make sure that infrastructure investments also align with long-term development goals. The benefits of such actions are improved connectivity, reduced costs, and unlocking new opportunities for businesses and communities across the country. We must anchor these interventions on good governance and fighting corruption. Effective governance is essential for improving public sector efficiency, enhancing transparency, and strengthening institutions to eliminate corruption. The reset agenda is both ambitious and necessary. It requires a concerted effort from all of us, that is government, private sector, civil society, every Ghanaian citizen. And I want to assure you that the government of Ghana is fully committed to translating these resolutions into concrete action. I have noted all the homework you have given us. Our promise is to collaborate with all sectors and all sections of Ghana to ensure that we deliver a homework worthy of an A. When we ensure that decisions and actions reflect the voices of our different demographics in this forward march, we should be on a good path in making a lasting contribution to building the Ghana we all want together. I want to thank all of you for your attention, and I also want to thank especially the speakers, the rapporteurs, all of you for making the 2-day dialogue effective. It is a dialogue, so it hasn't ended. We will continue. Thank you very much.
The Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, the National Economic Dialogue, a course no and Romo de Berry no day. Nano disem or the two dra no tree mu say, e be hia so bia be get involved bia emfa no hu hyem no bia hu say, ye economy no so sebewa, wetumi contribute enti me kono ye nyina na ye hu rembi na o man no agina ye economy ni sipsita ye kwaye dadam a uso betumi akasa no kre economy no me ka ho bi na me kire madwen na MPP for de omso omu nsi ase enye hwe Ghana for Mudo Ghana mine on Betuana. But Jay will be said Dr. KK Sapono could you made and say a train I dream penny for money with the money answer say no. My sino say a bar ye na agent to say twana mon ye man peeping penny for beer. Omutuana mon could you made and say. Cause say ya usu to me. Na sa womba metra wadri no better first up to you. Cause who pursue me and no sabiwa na car crashy no case and jamaica. But munya botre enti say the idea asema the vice president kan no e be here say all inclusive ye dey hu be shim na bibia etumi akonkan ebiom the chairman of the Mother National Economic Dialogue ye Jumedi course no Dr. Ishmael Yamson ono so the nanu di term the tudwa e kan say enye easy wo hwe media oman no sabia economy no ejina na easy kra but reset Ghana economy no ade a His Excellency John Dramani Mahama ono die nim no determination we determine so betumi ahwe aboa no betumi aboa na ye nyina na ye support ya betumi aboa ma ene metumi akonkan fi say all confidence wo His Excellency John Dramani Mahama mu say metibia no leadership no obetumi die nim spearhead ma eye economy e pese gina ye na bibia etumi akonkan na o man Ghana etumi ahye yi Ghana etumi ahye yi ma bibia etumi akonkan no saa netie enti ye bompai say bibia betumi ayelde na enema ejina ye esipie sita na bibia etumi akonkan nti the National Economic Dialogue na de teno no the chairman of the National Economic Dialogue Dr. Ishmael Yamson na semo na ni di semo de tu dwano no o se mo di enim no ma odi enim no ekwan ofa so di ni dwuma oye niema no ebetumi aboa no wogidie se betibia no Ghana betumi afa no ntuma pefra ti yen na yen kambom yen na yen sori yen fa ye hunjim ye kan ban a enye president pe enye ni ministers pe enye na appointees pe enye wo MP pe enye wo MC DC eye menewo enti yeso no ye de hu jima ye de hu boa ye de adwenkyere kwan ye fa so ebe mo man no egina ye ne ka ho bibia betumi akonkan ti wo ma ye nyina ye nsom wose ye nipa na niema nyankan ye MPP fu no mo MP say ye de ye nkobi Ghana fu muntie ni yi o muntie ni yi pa ye de ye nkombo am nkoye na echese egu a anase say a ye nyina etimi binti asema ye Dr. Ishmael Yamson so oye chairman de ma National Economic Dialogue no dia tudwa o si ye nyina yembom fi say John Dramani Mahama aye crowd so person set ye Ghana aye resetting agenda nti yemwa no man insan CP na sita na waso fo sa esi ubo etumi kasam ye Ghana ni ma Ghana atiti apanse odu be go so sa Ghana ni ofere but yemwa ye boa mo man ye ya waso du baby a we proud say we kase we Ghanaian ma yen konkɔhwe asema Dr. Ishmael Yamson ono so do tudwa.
We recognize that the macroeconomy remains fragile with significant risks from state-owned enterprises, particularly the energy and cocoa sectors that continue to undermine fiscal and debt sustainability. Additionally, we note the impact of long-standing structural deficiencies and challenging financial conditions that threaten macroeconomic stability. Consistent with the theme Resetting Ghana, Building the Economy We Want Together, we reiterate the conviction that Ghana can build resilience for economic growth and transformation for this and future generations by pursuing a path of increased dialogues and implementing targeted homegrown measures. Strongly support government's commitment to inclusive development and call for the timely, effective, and full implementation of the proposed interventions from this dialogue to enable Ghana revive and revitalize the economy. Underscore, based on the six thematic sessions as well as the plenary events at the National Economic Dialogue, the need for comprehensive and durable public sector reforms to improve productivity, as well as increase private sector participation and investment in the economy. We, the participants, recognize that the comprehensive report of the National Economic Dialogue will be submitted to the presidency for consideration and implementation, which to call on government to 1. Prioritize efforts to restore macroeconomic stability and regain confidence in the economy by enhancing coordination between fiscal and monetary policy operations and achieve alignment, reviewing the foreign exchange retention regime to support economic stability, implementing major tax reforms that expand the tax net, including property taxes, revise VAT rates, and address revenue leakages. The dialogue urges government to accelerate the proposed constitutional reform program, link public sector remuneration to productivity, accountability, and efficiency, enhance the capacity of Parliament to effectively oversee public spending by providing targeted training and resources. D. Develop a comprehensive regulatory framework for political party financing, including mandatory audit and oversight mechanisms to promote transparency and accountability. And E. Strengthen independent governance institutions to complement economic governance. We note with sincere appreciation the unity of purpose demonstrated during this dialogue. We encourage all stakeholders to continue to work together towards ensuring that actions are taken to reset the economy and build the Ghana we want.
Papa Panti, Dr. Ishmael Yamson, Onono chairman the National Economic Dialogue course and Rome debate. Asamo Kaya Medena say the initiative will yield positive results. Abra Ghana free ready to support the vision. Enti Mameka no. Me no nani support this vision here. Resetting on my Ghana economy reset here. Ebe to me abwa, maybe be to me akonkai. Wonsom. Ani nipa enyame president mama nkwano no obedi president ono hwenye no wabaso obesom na obesom so dia mene wo na ebetumi aboa no wasom yi nti ekwan bi aye nyina ye betumi aboa ya dwen ye be kire ti se ndurai ni ndura chimpanifo ekukudam kotena ho ekire omadwene ma eye kama omudi abewi sa na ye hwehwe nti reset agenda no betumi abam dia me ne wuna no wonso munsum na yentum mboa na the vision His Excellency John Dramani Mahama omo my Ghana etumi abam ma bibia etumi akọ enkan na Ghana ye nije Ghana ye krebahwe na Ghana ayefefefe ebiom the National Economic Dialogue na so ebiom na mewo na the Minister in charge of energy Owura John Junapo adiso no so di nanim kopie mu na odi nanim kopie dwumadi na se no de asem to dwa no woni distribution sector omo energy industry no na o tre se ye involve private sector na mo private sector form hu Roma anhwa na energy sem yen kan yesem efa no ye petroleum product to be organ na niam anhwa na collapse anhwa be collapse asemo di tu dwa no se anhwa ebe collapse be bi edru ne hian kranko edwuma so je omodi won be room ye aban begu nti odi tu dwa no woni se edru mbiri bi o se yetumi ehwe na ye ma private sector so do omuhujim no mutumi boa na ye manage ye energy sector kama pa na bibia tumi konkan ye nkonkoti honorable John Junapo in charge of energy minister na asemo di tu dwa.
Looking at the issues with the ECG, but not surprising, particularly in the energy sector. Like Mr. President said, today I had a briefing and the outstanding liabilities so far is about 80 billion. Wow. And it keeps increasing. 80 billion cedis. That's outstanding liabilities. And so today, if you were to put the energy sector back on its toes, you would have to cough up 80 billion to flush out the outstanding liabilities. Clearly that's unsustainable, but even more worrying is the mounting liabilities. Assuming you were to deal with only 80 billion, then that wouldn't be the major problem. The major problem is that we we have a total bill of about $175 million every month, especially with the power sector. The collection is less than 100 million. And so even going forward, if nothing is done, you're going to be incurring about $70 million every month as a shortfall or liability. And so that for me is a major issue. I take three things that I think we should be looking at. The first one has to do with ensuring that there's a high level of discipline and efficiency in the sector. In 2023, the PURC approved about $200 million as a cap in terms of capex for ECG. By the end of the year, they had incurred $700 million. So $500 million more than had been approved. What it means is that $500 million was not factored in the tariff structure. And so the indiscipline alone is a major factor. Two is that it's quite obvious that we need a private sector participation in the management of the distribution sector. If we don't do that, the sector will collapse. And we are headed for that collapse. Already, some power producers have shut their plants today, as we speak, over non-payment of their bills. So it's something that you can't have a shortcut. You must necessarily take those tough decisions. And then finally, from what I am seeing, we immediately have to move into a gas to power era. The liquid fuel bills alone is about 1 billion this year. Half of that can build a gas processing plant. That will save us about 600 million per annum. And so for me, that is something that is non-negotiable. We have stranded gas. We cannot use the little we have to buy liquid fuel. We must bring that gas processing plant on and cut the cost. That will also cut the corruption and cut the wastage.
The Honorable John Jinapo na yete Ninkano, Minister in charge of energy. Onenanu disem no dia tudwano. No kre say involve private sector ne dia ansha na energy nsensem titu yenkania no a collapse cry bells a doom so beba and so nya de o say yehwe masane e man koso enti ne some of the two dwanos independent power producers and cry enra yan enti say ankra omo so etumide omo plant ahoro de support ma yenkania gina so no say nra no ma shut down cause abanje omo ka ya kasa na nado ne Dr. Mahmoud ba omiema broke egu ha inapo machi opoku prempe nta ono na ohwe ho mo broke egu ha emunsem no enti eka na egu nti omo nye omo shate omo plant na down nti be hia se bebi a edu no yenka ne ensem no ebe involve ma private sector no mo sudu omo ho ahye mo ko ECG a eya band enti mo ye mode ope eka ECG abregu ho ye gisika omo akwaji diskegu no yetumi de kogu private account bi ye hu bebi account na fi ye hu nipa no na ECG ska ye twugu mo sa even PDS beje ye bills be ye 7 months ye mi se saska no wahin enti ye use ECG e de dibone wo krom ha na ECG sika bebro mo gina no sika na omo ejumi de kogu obi account ma ye hu omo ntumi account for account nso hu nipa no obekone ya twim sikaina na ya be ka kire se dumso na aba nso wo ka dumso wa na oye His Excellency John Dramani Mahama buying oba how many days ni obeka se 3 months kronyai wo be gina be ka kire se President Mahama de dumso aba enye we ni hu ni pastor eja ho wa broke egu wo sei wa be ka kire se ono na waye independent power producers nso mutu eska ma omo a che shut down ndra e ka mu bogu ho 8 years no enu nti na sesi ama ban ibran so o hweso be man kan ejina so because ono His Excellency John Dramani Mahama no ono no kono yedum so fi ho oye bibia kama oye dum so afi ho kama pa answer oko Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia kra be testify kan say when dum so afi ho nti den ana mun kai nso mo koi dum so mayen pasa Ghana for NPP there mimi yema cha wo hwe no wutie ni a enye se mo chance bi no onye say ye ma MPP kwa hwe eye car power ni ade ya ye say nanse ye de kwa Ashanti region munkai ye say ye transport keke ko Ashanti region eye ahen $30 million na de ade na ye de fa eye gold car na say sebi wa diamond plane na ye de fa we mu no mo de o ma dwene ebubu man no sisi ama ye power sector no kra niema ye basa energy no niema diegu nti se wutie mi wo hwem a me be ka kire wa ne se bebi edu de ye mompae ye bompae no na ye supporting penifo no ma private sector no fa no hunjim omdo mo hunjim e betumi aboa me energy sector no so etumi afa no ntuma pefra nti de eteno no na mfonyi bi aba viral nansen se menu na ebedi ho adanse titu sa mfonyi ni anakasa mfonyi ni wa Ashanti region na sa de epiem ho enye bibia say ye bridge our bridge no esi aye no ya rehosem in fact ya rehosem pa bridge no anhwe ni ya nipa bewu bukuni pakanam so agbum the accident ni nipa nkoso hia pa nti sa mfonyi ko na His Excellency John Dramani Mahama odedi me no huye ohuya no so no we me hudia o say me ma the road minister otumi de nani echiemu ho timi say road minister ko Ashanti region correct site no how our bridge no etumi asay aye no say omonhwe no muntumi siesie bridge no na cars ne be fa so a niam ebetumi dia transport afa so ma e kama no omonya ne kama nti honorable Abuja governs the nanichiemu ho minister in charge of roads okodi dwumade ne kama na mi say His Excellency John Dramani Mahama de osebe ye na bridge no so omotumi aye kama metumi afa no ntume pefra mayen konkore sa akasa foyini emra
Mwako in Ashanti regional minister mokaya bridge na situation in yakura and na me no ka say the regional minister Abakromia the road minister Abakromia and on the 7th that's Friday contractors say ba bridge no so make sure say maka am so biem no ma ye na nimu ya say bridge e be ye wie na the president of Ghana John Dramani Mahama His Excellency say video ni beto abonten no watu hu anam no ye dia se da kese ma regional minister Dr. Mwakwin because na dia wa ye nimu bi da about 7 o'clock na Dr. Mwakwin need na bridge so that na we no so ye nche e me omo beja to ya na quick said ye ko refrechi and we are near Fletchley Benina, yet media fabric.
President Mahama says he is not president to complain, he's a president to deal with things. So he sent me here this morning to assess the situation. What we have seen here now, I agree with him. We need to completely shut down the bridge to allow the engineers to work with the contractors to quickly remedy the situation. We've gone under the bridge, we've seen some of the terrible situations here.
Bridge to na yabaye. I'm 2018 no. Ana starting say akwaya back and forth. Na ehun sensem saba am say enrane ananansa ne no. Honorable tna enkran enye. Nti quickly no team together no pay. Buy our first thing. Say enrane share bridge no and to train any my bit my after we other road projects you have but because you are in we focus on bridge now I'm not penny for the bridge you know it close me down from one more said it here about the day trapper if you are going here and antias and you to make na car be for
the mama say the regional minister say a ball and a pan on phone no okrumha ya be bridge amayen ya wa hye bose ifiada o me bridge yase ti ade na se pa bisida ka champion fon say wa ba hye bose nyame aduma ifiada o de neme ba mo master ti ye mpa bo so ba ba aduma papa mai nyame nko so chiro mu sa Dramani ama regional minister abeka bridge no kama say say ya kwa ye regional minister bi ya kwa ba da and the regional minister for tutu na ba so mi anza kama abaha be bridge no se fia da kwa wo mu ye be bridge na mare ya ti bi da Dramani die ewura e kwa super kase na mi chitawo o ma nkwa mo nyi che bibia wo ye bia enko kwa so ma
Enti kasamfo yin na yehwe no minister in charge of rules ono no kopie mo ho no honorable Agbeja Govins ni Ashanti regional minister nia Dr. Amoakohini one ekukudam no mo kohwe Hawa bridge na aye wonim se yekwa Ashanti region se wo food bucket wo ho ye de nnuane efa ho ba koko yin ye de fasa bridge so no the state of the bridge no hard yi be here se mpanifo betu anamo na omotumi ahwe na bibia ECPA sita na bibia etumi akọ enkan na ende so Dr. Johnson Isiama the governor the Central Bank of Ghana ye kind of Bank of Ghana and there okupie mu parliament on the floor of parliament no or the ensemble to dwa not sure say the new headquarters are Isiama the Bank of Ghana no mika say furniture keka ye de ekosisi headquarters no ni hu sika no 11.1 million dollars montie ni $11.1 million or the sasemi to dwa na ye kaka ye ho am Bank of Ghana omu headquarters see mama ye kaka ye ho kakra ade a omo discuss project 2011 omo discuss project ya besi 2016 na 2019 na omunya asase ana asase omuye so mbesi so headquarters no omunya 2019 na emuno project no omo value no $81.8 million Ghana funti o MPP aban 2019 enti $81.8 million echi no no omo finalize bibia o parliament no omo so omo ye estimate no MC so anhwa anenso enti omo increase no call $121.1 million and yes city so $121.1 million na eti omu increase no kodu ye eti ehum ekwaye ye so ya sansa ye de eko $221 million US dollars Ghana was go MPP aban ye ni ma ye no mo piama mbo bi ama ne $221 million finally the entire project cost $261.8 million. Now, make us say according to the governor, the Bank of Ghana, just say contractor ne one no man $230 million. And the contractor ne money $230 million. And then this car, the amount contractor no into outstanding sika car or say the son so na just say abano aka $31 million. And in this car, what the uncle, Assam Nankaseni now, the governor of Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, it's young hair, a brow call on the floor of parliament to address a parliament, no church room, Akoso, Alpha Bank of Ghana, young Kosho, new building in the Munse.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the discussions around a new headquarters for the Bank of Ghana dates back to 2011 when the board at the time considered acquiring land for the project. However, the board at the time could not settle on a specific location until its tenure ended. Mr. Speaker, even in 2016, when I was a deputy governor, the same issue was being considered. However, we could not settle on an appropriate location. In 2019, under a new board of the Bank of Ghana, a structural integrity audit was conducted, and this showed that the existing head office, which was built in the late 1950s, had developed significant structural defects and was no longer fit for purpose. Mr. Speaker, we have provided a copy of this document also on the structural integrity audit that was conducted in 2019. Following this, Mr. Speaker, the Board of Directors at that time approved the development of a new corporate headquarters, citing security, operational efficiency, and long-term institutional needs as key factors. Mr. Speaker, in 2020, the land was acquired at West Reach, and I am informed that a competitive procurement process that was approved by the Public Procurement Authority led to the selection of Mrs. Golkey Properties Limited as the contractor under a turnkey arrangement. Mr. Speaker, the project was initially valued by the PPA at $81.8 million, but later increased to $121.1 million after the Bank of Ghana requested for re-evaluation. This was revised again to $222.8 million, and I'm just rounding off, Mr. Speaker, after the redesign and inclusion of building management systems. Mr. Speaker, there were also statutory requirements, security needs, and sustainability considerations. As a result, the total project cost increased to $261.8 million. Mr. Speaker, as of February this year, a total of $230 million approximately has been paid towards the project, with an outstanding balance of $31.8 million to be paid to the contractor. Mr. Speaker, a total of $48.3 million has been paid in taxes and levies that were related to the construction. Mr. Speaker, beyond the core building, separate contracts were awarded for other infrastructure. These include ICT systems and network infrastructure, which was awarded at a cost of $8.6 million, integrated electronic security systems, which was also awarded at a cost of $15.8 million, and furniture and furnishings that was also awarded at $11.1 million. Mr. Speaker, these elements were included to ensure that the bank operates in a secure and technologically advanced environment in line with the needs of a modern central bank. Mr. Speaker, while the new headquarters project has understandably drawn public attention, Mr. Speaker, it is important to emphasize that the Bank of Ghana remains fully focused on its primary responsibilities, which is to maintain price stability, which is to ensure financial sector resilience, and which is to foster economic growth. These are the priorities that guide our actions. As an independent central bank, we recognize, Mr. Speaker, that public trust is fundamental to our operations, and that trust is built on transparency, sound decision-making, and a demonstrated commitment to prudent financial management. Mr. Speaker, we want to assure this Honorable House that the new board will exercise its oversight responsibilities efficiently, and the new board will ensure value for money in all our undertakings. Mr. Speaker, once again, I thank you for the invitation.
Enti asem na na da ho no ehia se mechimbu medical ka ho asem ansa na ye kasamfoyin the governor the Bank of Ghana Dr. Johnson esiama so ode ensem ni na etudwa na Ghana ya say o nti Bank of Ghana furniture nkonya ne ade a ni eye table so mu disisi offices ni nyina no minimum je ye won kofo metumi aye nkonya ne ade wo Ghana ha kama na se ye de nkonya ne eye tables ne ade egum wo new headquarters wo na ekoso o man Ghana eye $11.1 million dia o man ye wo ska na je contractor ne ye man $230 million yes contractor je na kosi dan no and this your contractor say ye de $31 million be so no so na it say abo anu ye serious o je $31 million aka ho na abo anu ma akoso no na abo anu say so kan yin sida and the Bank of Ghana man ye wiska because we hwe dan ye si hwe pa dia enye easy but we feel so say omotumi san ehwehwe mu biem omusan wo mu biem because bibia ho sika ne fie 81 a be piem akọ 260 something there anu odin na do ne Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia Keno Foriata any former Bank of Ghana governor Dr. Addison eto se bia wo hwe we pa ne ma bi o wa to mu ne di ni yedie mu yedi ni yi furniture nko awo ayare hosem pa na minim se nche yebeti ekuku dam nankasanka yebeti honorable Daniel Kwesi Ashama yebeti nka former member of parliament ma buem wo Oti region of Yaha so na yebeti Alhaji Halidu Haruna and also a member of the national communication team or a senior comrade wo communication in NDC and also yebeti nka enti ma wo fidie nkoso na haya but baby edu no ehiame because eduru ametanum ohun komune ye bedi se wonte edi atie na tie ne pa Power Specialist Herbal Hospital eno de bi ameka enye se yese me akasa me se manum mundro ni bida nti wo so wonya binum a ebebo pa se sia liver care no kra na minum oye liver care ono na se sia menum a mebo pa wo behwe ji kagiri be memo gina ona so prekope wo bana Alhaji Sogo ene cameraman fu technician se ko ho na me say yes bibu oji kagiri be madru pagiri kagiri ni bi di no kra ene honam se nti pebi na bobobi na wo behu se no kra edru no ansa na ewo eye Hebatin ana doctor meboa Hebatin so ye papa ona bo mu bi papa nyese metumi de botto na mebeje wo be na asumi ai se metu akoton because me no papa me yam ho adro pra enye easy me yam ho adro pra eti ana bo musum page akwan na munyam ho adro na papa Power Specialist Herbal Hospital yare friend hepatitis B how wadwen be o se nko ko ho metumi abo hospital ko mbebo mundro so system no nya binuma betumi abo make us say your doctor Heniba wa forever young sana am the friend unnim de papa intimi ni bedi nkomo yi wasume eti nkomo ni bi no wi a wapo mu chi akwan na obekese ke Nicholas kai Dr. Heniba kwa ba bibi aboko de modru na ahyehyem kama no te wani se de bia no me de bottle beji nte ye drupa me de bottle so a omo mama mpie kura no ma gini na nda Alhaji Sogo ba ya nte make say me we nim he na se ne dia over no ni technician say ko hosa Alhaji ye mo aha doc dia na wo ma ye because ye ni me in the part wo me gidi so obi ohwe otie so otie nkomo obedi akire na ono so benya de panti ma can say over to you
me da say abusia ya mo akwa ba power time bre aso Power Specialist Herbal Hospital ya de enchefia so Dr. Panyia oda hospital na doctor akosia adu aya hode mo bibia bibia ojebre na ohwe power time da bia yes ma kan say adanse die papa nkrofo edifa power ho TV so radio so internet ene emia hodo no won so be kan adanse die for no bi Power Specialist Herbal Hospital Dodona Fayen last stop ye Kumasi won crying ena ye water cry the Kumasi wo fe yase ye ni Jasper Flint Station di enhwani mu wo aputoja contrast kwan so Lake Road ena ye wo akra wo kwabenya ACP kwan so ne block factory no edi enhwani mu na fe takra de wo Anaje Estate Customs Road ye ni single washing bay no edi enhwani mu numbers no ye miensa wo de famu bia wo fra branch na eben wo no ni ama direction abaho na wabejo ayaresa numbers ni 0555 797878 0200 38 3831 ɛna 0244 544422 Monday to Saturdays ɛna yɛde ɛyɛ adwuma wo ba lab papa bi a wohia sɛ ma yɛ no bɛyɛ yɛde mfidie hwehwɛ nipadua no mu so ohia sɛ ma wotwa scan so ohia sɛ ma woyɛ x-ray biribi biara ɛsɛ sɛ yɛ ma woyɛ na yɛhu adeɛ pɔte pa ɛkɔ so nipadua no mu no adeɛ pɔte pa ama wokɔ kasa so wontumi nna deɛ ama wo so tia na ɛte deɛ ama sabi da bia nipadua no wayɛ basaa aduane tɔ no ma ɛda no ma wontene dɛ wabɔ wabɛ sɛ 3-4 years yɛbɛhwɛ deɛ ɛkɔ so nipadua no mu nti Power Specialist Herbal Hospital nyanko padom yɛn tomfom yadeɛ sentini sɛ yɛn fa yadwen ɛnka sɛ wo somtem we deɛ saa deɛ ɛkɔ so deɛ we yɛ ne we yɛ wo hunu deɛ ɛbɛsɛ yadeɛ we da bi yɛn nya ne saa sentini sɛ somtem ba ko pa bi wɔ no a yadeɛ betimi de aba no nneɛma betimi de aba no bro bɛsɛ 9 anase num ti so obi aka sɛ metia me ya na metia me ya wutia o ya typhoid betama wutia yo ya malaria betama wutia yo ya hepatitis B and I say Sibetama Utia ya so moja sotia etima utio ya constipation I am tim a betama utia powder den so pressure echo through bebria etima utia ya stress betama utia ya until so catch say ya na miti ayame ya ye be make sure say ye be hold the cause of something na wo no ye tackle the cause na utia de no ase enzyme mabiem edun fa ya de ma power Specialist Herbal Hospital na on san fa nkɔ de berada since the baby and hwehwase yɛhwehwɛ de saa ha no abro baabi a obi a fa yade ne bra wanante akyɛ wanum abrɛ yewadwen sɛ yade we de no ana du kɔ wo mu oba power saa yade ne be firi wɔ akɔ sɛ yade a meka sɛ ɛkɔ so ntententem pa ɛyɛ kidney stones and a kidney cyst anasa renal cyst yɛka sɛ adeɛ bi ɛyɛ cyst no kyɛ sɛ adeɛ a ahono a nsuo eginam enti so akotwa scan so akɔ hospital bi na say ya diagnose say o kidney stones renal cyst and say kidney cyst Mr. Tumika Bra Power Specialist Herbal Hospital Kumase enkrana say yetakrade ya na ma wonfe efom ho nyina lower river ha na ya wo ya e de ko sisi achi lower back hot me hyehyɛ hot me ya wo ya hot tu den pa ama wo na se nyina tatai wo mia na atoma de be kye na wani nyina ho no na won sa achi nyina na ahoho no we had a crab in our bread. And for when rest, I be rest. A baby at was so nipadua very weak. Kidney and feniagro. It is so kidney stones. So kidney stones and I say renal cyst I'm strong. Be a for kidney no hubia. Say kidney no I enlarge. And as I shrank be a hubiano. Fabra Power Specialist Herbal Hospital. Kumase and crying. And I say a yeta crade. What the a fatty liver. Tieni say come so you pa best 10 scanner when ya kra no best 6 and 7 no more fatty liver ama we yefunu no hono wo chika se mutumi tutu aya wo ya ama wani aye very yellow yes onya jaundice chese liver no e severe problem ojon so Johnson need to say Lipton and say Coke entrata ho da bia meka say ansa no so yefunu hono no na so liver na sini say yekwam no nti say na wutie power time na ho sa asem to so nyina bia Mr. Furniture Power Specialist Herbal Hospital. Obo kra ba yes scan bo hu no na osan ascites say ensuo esan etade afunu no mu. Hepatitis B yade ba ko a ebetim de sa ha no abrow. Na sa liver problem no enu nti doctor akoso do ya adu foforo bi a ye fe no aduaya liver care. Aduaya liver care sa adrowe a ye hamanuo pure herbal ya yen kama ya sone subronisa no Food and Drugs Authority register jatum approve e de amayen bibi piara attach ma liver no ho say fatty liver say liver enlargement say liver cirrhosis bibi piara akoso liver no ho no so onya adua ya liver care e be take care of liver no e be heal liver no ama liver anya na ho den e de ya adwuma esese eye ba bia obi a bo modin so benya adua ya liver care ni bi na ebo liver no ho by hepatitis B yade ba ko awiase nyina se eni aduro da bia me kan mani age se manyam kan yankopɔ ni se Power Specialist Herbal Hospital edini ya ba ko pe Power Specialist Herbal Hospital and yankopɔ do mama doctor akoso adua ya ahamanuru a yede sa yade we etu ase se a doctor for ni nurse for dodo no a eba Power Specialist Herbal Hospital ebinum suma nkrofo ebinum directions at the back. And this our test hepatitis B positive. say ya wo say ya yire say ya oba say ya okunu say ya onua bi e ma obi amu abam enkrofo kan se bebre e de fire de we ho enti so obi tasine so ya positive na otwetwe no ho sentini se yasi ne ho fefere kura kan obi obenya bi enya no kure sabi ya awarefo a wo mu da awowo oba no obi nsuna be ma ne nibi enti se obi ni obi ada kura ne so yare ni ne se wantimi amfa ama no true sex dia be da na ho fefere ko kan obi ana obi onu aduane o school mu keke betimi yade na sai obi ayen sama yaka adia ma yade na ayetantan enti so obi kura no a ohunu so baba bonten abeka se obi sentini se obi hu a obatwe ho afro mina aware bebre agu wona na nko ahyeha wade a asori bi ka se o mun medical o mun koya medicals be ma no hunu se oba no obi no ano no obi wore na twempra be se 7 years a fere nyankopon bi ekoya oba ye no ho ade oba ware no oba no wo hepatitis ribinti be ma no agyae no miwa no be ma ya na tra be se 7 years no woni bi e kan pain their choice hepatitis B and yes sexually transmitted disease buku bi abakan Google bi abagogo de oba read bia no sa de be ka kiro say the transmission no a true body fluid which enya no kre obi a owo bi na ne kunu ni bi obi a owo bi na yiri ni bi na bete de mekan ya se payi bra power specialist about hospital ye wadru betu ya de no asakra be ko negative ye manage no ho ye mbrebre no ase ye wadansidie bebre wona adubaba TV so radio so be di adansa na edoso award ahodo a yenya ne Ghana ha ene amonone no pi wona wosomo made hye be gi no de sande o mu UK ni US ne me ahoto wo mo di adansidie papa eba abusua anya sam ketwa enti so test hepatitis B positive ha Mr. Omen shedem na ensu men ka se ase ade ne ni aduro woni ba ho so na yefunu na ho no yefunu ba ho no so de test Oliver no esaya no baby obi a wo hwe power time hepatitis B the master a power specialist Herbal Hospital Kumasi Enkrine and asa a yetakrade number is 0555 797878 0200 383831 and 0244 544422 Bema bia o Jones or Samasha assessor eye basabasa. There be a mekasa mema ye problem kasia pa mu baako eye Jones or hunsam. Se bema o Jones or sha assessor ACZ o Jones or sha assessor e bank tankete o Jones or sha assessor register wo chim ansa na Jones na ba Mr. So 1 2 na mo pe woni betia ne de rubber e de catheter ato bemam. Bedu sabe ne chese ne me yakachi na uti e yate. Kakra bi na Jones do kwa ketua bi na ba obo so kra ansa no bateta Johnson de no yes Johnson na guru ho awie e betima your prostate e betima your bladder that is cystitis e betima your ureter na so urethra e bia de na your kidney sentence Johnson na hyase pa no e hyase fru kidney no mu this a kidney na was severe problem it may affect Johnson e bia de na untreated infections bi na this how na bro enu ntina oba ye nya bre ye nipadua no hwehwemu ye be your lab ye be your scan e video be show mu so hia se ma ukoye CT scan kwa be mu akoye ne hu the cause of it ne aboa entratena ho Emma Johnson no emesizi wa ya se timi research e bokro Johnson wi a o tenkasa Johnson bi akam obi Johnson wi ne moja edi akire bokro Johnson eba ni nyina ye moja nko a bra power specialist about hospital yakopa do ye waduro e betimi dia ma wa Johnson entimi ma entimi flow ye waduro be ma Johnson abakama Oboso Johnson abana hodini nim te Johnson for no trouser ne mpaboa so bra power specialist about hospital wo osa yade ba ko betimi atete nko na nyina akom de wa ya asam de dimi ya asam ya na obo no ha nyina yo ya de kopie wa jutanya hard bands wudi dia na aduane jejabo indigestion ya na asa nyina titiriti wodura wo hia adua ya SK that is stomach care ekro bia wo yafuru no mu ekro bia wo yafuru no mu osa ne se de tie bia wunya adua ya SK eba boaw atu osanase ama ho atumi atɔ na ya wo aye hebatin heba mixture enso so awa ha sa do we gaye covid time ebra Ghana fo panyifo ya se heba fo nurumra ne enhwe de betumi aboa asisa ya de na no enu be se 33 de kwa mampon Center for Scientific Research into Plant Medicine emu 8 pe enu mo recommend ye hebatin heba mixture na edikan omu se ayadura niema waduro no mu no betimi aboa manipadua na nyina ho the immune system no ebe strong na abon ho ban afiri yade ho jirika jiri idini no honam se bema bi wayamre wo mpamu no wodura wohia eye jirika jiri ebiebie ntinin mu ema mogya de timi ko gina ntinin mu na timi agina so yie bema no eye ntinin mogya nko a se mogya na ntimi anflow wo ntinin mu a na bema na aka no kon ato ho no wasini trase adube yi fini nyina afirim na wonya hebate na ba mecha ne de bom se dia nyete ba bia wu ade amaw yade bia ha obia kompo no show minim ya mfa se kan ho ye nye surgery ye nyusu se kan ho ye be mu odu ebe na ne nyina dance enkrofo de ne doso yade bia wo ho bia ye ntimi anka ho asam se ye sciatica oto ase de twetwon bone fracture de dompani mobu pain your bone specialist ya be kan se ni adache no emfa ha obia amro aware fo amopa wo power baby tenya no Ghana ha no edoso o ma ka ho bi na musumni ho adanse mesia wo Kumase won kran ana afe ye wo ayeta kra de Kumase wo fe yase ye ni Jasper Flint station di enhwani mu wo aputo ja contrast kwan ne so Lake Road ana ye wo akra wo kwabenya ACP Kwasa ne block factory no edi enhwani mu na takra de wo Anaje Estate Customs Road ye ne single washing bay no so di enhwani mu frɛ yen 0555 797878 0200 383831 and 0244544422 yado asese bre bia oje bre na ohwe power time nyame yadoma da sana sabre yanso yede apomde ho nsam no ebebro
okay yebeda doctor Hineba Sibebre say or the enkoma emu hwam de fi power specialist herbal hospital or the bre baby adri yenkwaja aboafo nkrato bako mienu miensa yeba ye walaji Halidu Haruna waha saso no honorable eye Daniel Kwesi Ashama ono so ha yeba yebetena fom abonkonwa edi nkomo.
Ghana is free forever. Massacre! Power Independence Jackpot. Memrasi. Power Mega Jackpot Independence Day. Special day. Osaje for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Yine kukudama. What from the big city? What's the independence? The Ghana our motherland. Ghana ye free forever. Massacre. Modeya ide bedala *274*10 hash. Say ni bio. *274*10 hash. Na enter draw ni says Sierra. Tickets could be 10 Ghana cedis. Into the more S taken. Now what chances of winning a so? Noroko. About to be really 1,000 Ghana cedis. 2,000 Ghana cedis. 5,000 Ghana cedis. Nagagega nankasa ye 20,000 Ghana cedis. Of Independence Day the Bayedo. Massacre. I'm paying a pabazi. You're in a big no what Jimmy Boom. So smart on your holiday. Say Power 97.9 FM TVXYZ. Now we in a big. I mean I want Chamaisha Sesia. Dallas *274*10 hash. No Bogumadama. Massacre Power Mega Jackpot Independence Day. Tally Albedo. Missy
The Republic of Ghana. Ghana for na omojia tum. Say enu na beye mra ye na beye sa adwuma. And on the basis of that, he established the Bank of Ghana to also operate in terms of monetary policies any day account. It is a Bank of Ghana aye juma. Now I believe he say security, operational efficiency, long-term stability. Question I say, was this so crucial at the time or we decided say on the basis of this Wizombe side project now? Vis-a-vis the economic hardship of Ghana for ECOM. When you put the two on the scale, you would have come to realize say uye nipa sabi ujin ye. You would have put that decision of building this structure on the back burner and look at ways to assist to make sure say at least we address the economic difficulties. Listen, the Ghanaian people want the best. It is not in doubt. But they will not accept reckless expenditure of their resources as expenditure impact on their lives. The basic question to ask, sub project, structure, what is the impact of it on the lives of the people? Bank of Ghana over the period has been leading, in fact, former governor Nashiru time. Nashiru Sahaku ni time. Timi nyasika di see bank hospital. Bank hospital is critical and essential. In fact, if not because of bank hospital during COVID, many of these government officials nya sa COVID, and they would have died. Yes. Now, a government that benefited from a wise implementation and use of resources of the state in putting up infrastructure like bank, hospital, that same government and its officials think that no, building a high-rise building is as important and critical than providing the amenities of hospital. Is it not a sad commentary for our country? The Ghanaian people, and you see, it's one of the reasons why they've decided to vote against the MPP the way they did. Because certain decisions you cannot understand. Why would anybody decide to prioritize his benefit as an individual against the collective good of the country? Why? A project evaluation, before you do an evaluation of a project, you get experts to do that. Experts so omuba an expert advice on it. Board new year assessment, almost 81 million. You have your drawing plan, everything. You came back to say no, $122 million, not even in cedis. Eventually increased to 261, and $230 million was given outright. Hey, wait there, Adabaraka. Obia didi eumu. Didi at the expense of the Ghanaian taxpayer. Because 230 million out of the 261 left with only 31. Why in the hurry? Why are you in a hurry to make that payment? You wait. If it's a genuine construction, allow maybe mobilization. But 230 of the entire cost is more than even 50% of the total cost you've paid. So somebody has taken his cut. But I think that person needs to vomit that money. This morning, and yesterday, late around 12 o'clock, na mitiona obi afremi. Adan ni brother Penny Ontiapo or the Nico Polyclinic. Yes, see, Polyclinic no omuntimi treat, so omodi ni air call kolebu. Or the patient no call kolebu for say omun ni bed. For patient no coffee. He has to call me around 12 o'clock asking me to help him. Why should a country like Ghana today, unless you know somebody before you can get medical attention, are they? Sikanu, couldn't we have used that money to provide these facilities in Kolebu for the comfort of the Ghanaian people? If you do that as a governor, would it not be a credit to you, your children, your grandchildren will come and your name will be mentioned that you have led the Bank of Ghana to do good to humanity. You decided to just use it for high rising, and you're talking of security. Over the years, Bank of Ghana are operating. Me, since I became adult, Manti say, I'm Robert said to me, Akowura Bank of Ghana. Manti bida. And in fact, when you are even going close to them, the number of soldiers you see in front of the gate itself, you won't there. And so, what is the agency? Why won't you use that money? In fact, this is at the time of Omuka Chel say Omoboka close to 60.8 billion. Moboka. And when you speak about it, almost see the bank is not meant to make profit. So how come that under Ishaku the bank made profit? Omu use that profit as part of social corporate responsibility. Omu could see bank hospital. Go and look at that hospital. It's serving humanity. Today, as we speak now, Isaku, when he sleep, he sleep well. Whoever get attention in that hospital, God will grant him favor. His children will wake up because of that thing he has done. So prayers will continue to follow his generations. Why do we do this to our country? And I think that I agree. I'm a very good man, a gentleman by excellence. They want to destroy him. Then people intend to destroy this man.
Yes.
You see, but as they are planning, God is also planning. But God's plan was the best plan. And untina omuye Oma and Timmy and achieve that objective of convicting him. Today they are quick to say, Abayaba, Abay MP, and this Abayaba enu, Omaye. If indeed there are evidence against all this, the vicious nature of Dami Eni Akufo-Addo, he would have convicted them. For 8 years. So those who are even arguing on that, I ask the question, are these people normal? 8 years. You are unable to convict somebody with evidence, and you expect the government just to come and then continue with that.
Wasting resources.
8 years under a government, you have piled the court system, you have influenced and manipulated. You have a situation where Attorney General could even write a letter to tell Chief Justice that me per se case we embra. Your case no way. You have a situation where minority leader can just file a case today and the next day the case is heard. And under such court for 8 years you are unable to convict the accused people. And you are saying that a responsible government that believe, say, even in the initial stage, the government, the party that they serve, believe that this is persecution, it's not persecution, and so you think that they should pursue and continue. You have a situation where an attorney general was found, head on tape. Say, Mr. Buami. Nanado any finance minister omo titiri omo si min converti atu forcing Mr. Okokota just testify in line with my position so that I can secure. Where on earth, even in spite of that, he was unable to convict. And which responsible government will come and continue with this useless persecution of individuals, Ghanaians who have just served the country?
They're serious.
Sabi abanfua mo ankasa kura na there is an abundant evidence. Mika waha last week omo akizu John Mahama his first term his first government of inflating cost of project.
Sana no mo kan
Kasua project Kasua no there were auxiliary project attached. There are polyclinics. About 50, I think, close to 50 bed hospital polyclinic schools attached to it. Omaya borehole in addition to it.
Wow!
But they sit and then create the impression, say only the interchange that cost to the amount aban ekaye no, misleading the people, and the people believed them and voted against John Mahama. Nana Addo Ankasa can say John Mahama used $10 million presidential diary. Now, Nicholas, presidential diary. Nana Addo Ankasa nekaye. For 8 years, one team emfa any evidence and prove say John Mahama ayesa ade. Now me catch you say the provincial diary 1 city of government and who say yeah. There is no city of government. Most of the times, or no one open say or the proposals paper. Proposal no the call chief of staff or no. Now chief of staff eje to say okay, you be more kwan say we are. Now or the sa approval no eco companies. Now companies no so I say okay, you be say you get advert. Diary. So you pay the cost of the advert. So when you pay the cost of the advert, that is what the person uses to do the work with it.
Wow.
I have at least, and when I was there, I have led presidential diary. Not one city from government coffers. Enti omo kanu na me say when so free say $10 million. Are you kidding me? But they have made all those allegations against individuals. And at the end of the day, me say who say will be a tie mu kromfo gina ho na unhwe no onu na oye kromfo no. And that is the kind of situation we find ourselves today. $261 million used to build that structure. Earlier estimate of 81 million.
Because $1.1 million. They are to furniture gum.
Yeah, the 15.8 CCTV camera.
Hey,
amazing. CCTV camera, $15 million. Yeah, the CCTV camera. And you tell us that we should keep quiet. And it was the same project now at 240 Finance Minister LED demonstration. Echo Bank of Ghana. Governor Addison say he used a word vagabond. Is it vagabond or this? He described the hooligans. He used the word hooligans and described them that they are hooligans. Today,
what you mean?
Today, the hooligan is the finance minister.
Yes,
and he couldn't stand it. He has to exit. But hey, he has been warned that a day of accountability will surely come.
Why not?
And it is the clock is ticking.
Okay.
Very fast, and it's reaching him clearly. My only disappointment, as I sit here, was young fancy old boy. We seek. I mean, some of us who are young, me weigh 95. I am young as compared to him, but there are also others behind me.
Oh, why not?
But those who are behind, they look up to
you.
In fact, no,
and I will SS.
94 Nuna, last batch, but me ko SS.
I said, Muna first batch.
First batch. No, I was third batch. Third batch. But you know that the old system concurrently ran new system. Listen. Minya to miss minya kwan say me adwuma wo presidency no me ko
former presidential staff
secretariat no penny a wo ho no only my advice o man that don't go and disgrace the school. Any misdeed that will bring your name out for wrong reasons will undermine the image of the school. So go and serve as an ambassador to the school. I think that Addison has never served and lift up the image of the school.
Yo, yabeda Alhaji Halidu Haruna Asibebre. Na me ka wo se Amuzu garlic bitters. Me pacho nye bi numi apebi no Amuzu garlic bitters say reduce cholesterol dodo e wo di peduem sa so dey improve blood circulation mambo jeni di efurusani ye control renal flow no papa yare ahuru ne ya na wo di sai wusu reduce high blood pressure no and sana sugar level ni na no e be help na so yare o me kan fo Amuzu garlic bitters edi amao wunye benuma betumi abo papa enye na wo Ghana fe ne nyina bebi eto adro bia wo nkran ha dia nana boachi herbal wonse beka bi hello herbal sa so na tinatet ansa na case work herbal obemo bi ato sa so wo kokumasi a misty herbal Danny herbal apia dank herbal KNG herbal ni na wo imro ansa na kolena kaso ewo Asham. In Ghana had be a turn ruby or call super Muzu garlic bitters 0247 776743. Now when in penny for ending common Safari Valley Eco Resorts in a Yedru source of Utimia Safari Valley Eco Resorts. A bia would do how we beji papa na emwaho will be whom a zebra, antelope, mara, just and one the baby nankasa and why end time for you knew you win TV so and I kuzu answer. Zoo crazy and one asa ho and to call the obi hum boaro ina yeah you know we call obi hum boaro be nankasa wo Safari Valley Eco Resort wo wumpe we no pede sa so no canoes wo ho a obetumi atem na wonam nsuo so waterfall ho me ya hum kan ani jeni say baby obeda we ni problem baby obetene didi aduane ye bi aduane bi opebia local and continental wo benye bi edi baby obeda so the accommodation we ni problem and it's a wood me a wo de we chemu Safari Valley Eco Resort to say mo no aboken ono nko kwan ye de okwa na de wifi aka ho mo kwa ne mo ni age nkwala no so ka ho afefefe e bia why wedding na me pa chop of the honeymoon bi eco vacation holidays bi obetumi akwaye ho kama swimming pool bi ho recreational enye restaurant service ni na cost wo ho a ni je sempa di Safari Valley Eco Resort kai say reservation no wo betumi afre 0596 9143 494 0596 9143 94 0596 9143 94 cha akwaye holiday to betumi no wadofo Matias it is a wuti mi a the eteno no we do any chemo a we ni beji papa so na Medimuses clinic and herbal center the medru so me patom the Medimuses garlic capsules abedra mine so garlic capsules see meyeni no so etumi boa improve blood circulation bi ho na so nsa ne na ITT anansi acho anansi fahin na cheo wunye benuma ebebo yi papa sa so ne boost immune system no na etumi eboa ma woni padua no wunyi kama prom yi yare ni na for general well-being wumpe we no pede me kan for Medimuses garlic capsules e amo ye ka Medimuses ya no bi enim say Medimuses sign so e wo clinical honti prostate issues prostate disorder sini na ko mebo be ma why bro wumpe mo mbebo be ma no ba why your problems aso na diabetes health sciatica typhoid fever malaria fever so stroke and STIs ni na ha wa ko ha o metumi abo papa so na dental problems ni mudwumedi na for any chemo Medimuses clinic no mombo and cry obi hu mo dental bar opposite the police station AES building inside Ghana Highways Authority Accra Ministries Ajay Kojo so obi hu mo school for the deaf Kumase ahema kokko ben santase oboase kwan so omo from where was 0244068447 na bibia ntumi nkonkan me pacho winyen sure binum ya pebinom your friend X natural mineral water na make come for more nso amuda hokroje wonuma we hu se wanom nso pa your 350 ml your 500 ml na your 750 ml X natural mineral water nti nso bebre na na wogwa so but Paul Amantama osini di kamfo na mekana samatro on the Steven tornado appear otumi no ma se ahoden abapa ogira na nan so nti se wutie mi a X natural mineral water ye wo depo kesena wo XYZ broadcasting ya himfie ha wo ba ka se ope Uncle Robert me friend Uncle Bob ope Chelsea pa o ka chena dudu bi ope so tukoton no we bi ato se bako so no obeto na wakonu mo fia why not akonje ohode be ma sa so me pa cho mo a muri betrem so wo Malcolm Mon so okwa onsa betumi akabi open ho asema bi sa frɛ 0596273546 0596273547 X natural mineral water simply natural Victory garlic mixture na medro so Victory garlic mixture obi ho na kuma bon prepare obi ho na nsa na 93 nti we ni so tumi yo kusukusu me kan for victory garlic mixture e de amope bi bobo na e bebo ye papa bo ma mboje ne die frusane wo yare nya victory garlic mixture e betumi abo ma bibie tumi akonkan open didu ato akoton ankran ha de wo ko kan she Kingswalk Heba didu bi betumi de amo and after doctor was 020-129-3280 and 0245 545633 no ne doctor ndin komona mbobi ohobia so ontumi emmo yesan aba na yato ankomo no so national economic dialogue jumedia no so so butaya His Excellency John Dramani Mahama Baye hwese betumi abo ma economy no etumi MPP for the omso omumba enya de omodo hu behim ehun nsem na ye bedi ehun enkomo okay mami anase honorable okay Alhaji Alidu yen bros
omo say they believe in Ghana you see ye frɛ obi a sɛ bi wɔ nim de on betinasi na yan discuss kwan a be fa so a solve Ghana problems are sabi over the period higher. The New Patriotic Party have a track record of boycotting. Emra yesi yebe move to multi-party democracy in the 90s. You can say yebe constitute the constituent assemblies. Umbe rounds are consulted the Ghanaian people as to the form of government na umbe drafted constitution. MPP for say omo share tie any coat. Into omo nkotina edemo asabiwo hairdressers. Kaya ye farmers any de kan ewo ho.
Alhaji Mintwawa no Kwame Minkaso ohwe. No say ohwe kala na watara wa shere ni ona bodere ya di tina moko ne sa. Real Kwame so ohwe fa. Echichi Kwame oni wife ni ebusiafo ni na.
So omo see omo de omo mbetinas. And I think that under the Rollis omo mfa ebu okura emma no. Omo feel say omo akọ school chain into omo de bi. Omo ye gangari afo into omo nkotinasi. That constitution today has served the interests of the people of Ghana, and that is the longest constitution sabiwo as we speak now. And the brain behind it Jerry Rollis. Professor Ali Mazuri describing Rollis say obi asabio oye dictator. But he started as a dictator. He ends as a democrat. And then in other words he described Nkrumah as a democrat but ended up as a dictator. So he made that comparison. But you see, I wasn't surprised. Omo can say omo nko and omo reason ni say omampeni a describe the management of the economy of Ghana under omo stewardship as a crime scene. Enti omo nko. Let the Ghanaian people take note of it. That people who claim they have your interest at heart, a call for duty has been made to them. Almost declining. And the same people will come and stand in front of you and tell you that grant them the opportunity to come and run this country. John Dramani Mahama, leadership, you may have your vision. You may have the direction you want to pursue. But it's important to listen to the collective good of the people you are leading. A situation where John Mahama decided said he has the best solution to resolve the economic challenges of our country. It does not mean that he doesn't have a blueprint to do so. But say ultimate fair obia sabio owonim there. And let me take this opportunity to thank Pini. Kwame Pini. Yeah, Kwame Pini. Because I saw him. I was there. Kwame Pini. KK Sapon. At least these are people who have demonstrated that omo de omo pe Ghana yi Kwame
but omo MPP for
yes omo
MPP ni founding father pa
Keke Sapor was immediate GNPC chief executive.
Yes,
I saw them there, and then Togba Afede was also there. I saw him. These are people who believe, say, Ghana, regardless of political difference, Ghana first. Now, these discussions are very critical and important because the implementation of the communique are to forcing Amma assurance say he will implement it because it is emanating from the collective good. Ideas not only narrow to political parties, but other opinions have been added to it. So say or implement here. I don't think that he will have a problem. And indeed, it is also a demonstration of the fact that no one person has all what it takes. John Mama is an individual, is a human being. He has his quality, he has his expertise. But there are many more Ghanaians who have an idea that can be added to enrich whatever he wants to do for the people of Ghana. I agree with the Sami Jamfi's position that Atuforsin will go down in history as one of the best finance ministers. I agree. Opening ceremony, no. Mitihona mi tieno. This is a man who was focused on the issues. Already the statement. He never touched it. In fact, Bernard Avele or the year Syria that if anyone has doubt about the capacity of the finance minister to handle the situation we are confronted with in this country, that doubt has been cleared by his sterling performance and you can say address our presenting on that day, the opening program. No. And you see, the communique, Omar raises serious and critical issues. They are looking at how to align the monetary policies and the fiscal policies. There should be that cooperation between these so that at least they can achieve the objective of making Ghana a better place. You see, the economy of Ghana, a very strong economy must have shock absorbers. BBC, you can fall on it to withstand the pressure. It's just like a car. Sebi car, car mono. Now who drive it into you can say potholes. Because the shock absorbers of the car are strong. So it doesn't have the effect of the potholes. You don't feel it. So that is how economy is supposed to be. So any shock that will be the economy will be confronted with, it should be able to withstand if you have a strong shock absorbers. So the previous NDC government realized that under the leadership of John Dramani Mahama or establishes funda sebi se banituka na BBAC, you can fall on it to survive. The sinking fund almost $64,000. Yajai 250 million dollars. Yajai maomu. Yajai infrastructure fund. Maomu. Ye establish ASLA fund. Yajai maomu. All of these are and then the heritage fund from the oil proceed. Omobaenu. They misuse all this, and then eventually they decided to lie to us that COVID say economy, because what has been the shock absorbers, must say and so you have destroyed the shock. A very terrible car with a bad shock absorbers, your ways to break. And they came to only pursue personal interest, amass wealth for themselves and their generation. But what is good and important, I saw a small girl. I don't know whether it was a video, like a film or something, but a small girl. Penibi ko contested election. we ni na omu ba afie na omu jubilate. This small girl went to the man and said, uncle, I said we contractor. Why do you decide to first small girl? Why do you decide to become a politician? Then he said, is the girl not interested in him progressing? And now girl say, hey, then would you must sue? The responsibility now will be bigger. And the man said yes. And he laughed, and the guy was just looking at him. And then the girl said, okay, me back. Oh, Conan, I was Sabai or beside me say, uncle, can I advise you? Was he? And the girl told him that never get yourself into corrupt activities. And in fact, Papa say we sir, you will suffer, you pay for it. If you are not even affected, your children will come and be affected by that conduct. And she concluded by saying that, you know why? Because God is just. So anybody who will take a peso from the Ghanaian taxpayer, refuse to do what is just, and that what will improve their lives, and you only look at what you do and amass wealth. Tomorrow, me ba any uba echo square. Now I be catch me ba say, oh papa mbobra. Meanwhile, what we are, yes, no. Now we catch and say, ni papa no or ye genuine on bobra. That is the most saddest thing. And meanwhile, you are swimming in the resources belonging to the people of Ghana. Anybody who died as a result of lack of bed in the hospital, the consequences is on your head. Anyone who will suffer an accident, avoidable accident, as a result of bad road, who are with you her, wako G with 10%, na sebi wadi ya she na contractor no nye juma no ye na. The consequences of it is on your head. And I have come to see one thing. Sebi many who are serving government, we are but you see them deform. You look at most. But perform, do genuine thing. You walk throughout and nobody will see your back. So for me, the economic dialogue was a fantastic and masterstroke in looking at the issues. This economy needs certain adjustment. Most of the times we diagnose, but we are unable to prescribe solution to them. In fact, Omar recommended the rationalization of our tax, the VAT system, etc. We should look at it. Expansion of our tax system. Sometimes we allow only public servant and civil servant. We tax them too much because they are the easiest people to get the money from. But there are other many activities going on that we could benefit from, but because there are no better systems to get them. Today, as we speak now, you have a Macy, all Sidan, huge structure, local, one registered in company. You cannot trace him, but he has taken millions from the person or the landlord. What they are sharing, the state is not benefiting from it. There are many activities going on. We have to just be conscious in encouraging many more to join the system. Look, as a citizens, your duty, you request for a certain privileges. You want to see better roads. You want to see better schools. You want to see better hospitals. You want to drive on the better roads. Don't dodge from paying tax. Pay the tax and demand accountability from duty bearers. When you do that, then you are being fair. But what dodgy one person will be one tuya. Ye catch your cry, ye be who so I say kotua. We be say we Canada.
Challenge here.
We are now we na buying there. One year say acquiring ye. But where will the government get the money to it? So let's be honest enough as citizens. Let's go, if we are running an activity or business, go and register it, make it formal, so that at the end of the day, government can also just take something small out of the profit you make. Government has, as part of their policy, say, if you are a new company coming up, because the intention is to provide certain advantage to newcomers, so that they can work and create enable environment and be able to employ. You know, Aban will give you some tax holidays, so that at least you can manage the company to grow to a certain point. Then you can begin to pay. Pay with there, then I will pay. And this is a government that is willing to create that enable environment. That is why the 24-hour economy policy is going to be implemented. They are ridiculing it. But mark my word today.
Okay.
If this policy is implemented right, it will nail the MPP forever in opposition. Mark it.
Amen.
Because it will create space and it will allow people, many more people, to have job to do. Say through me, my policy, my programs, I'm my secured. Me feeding me fee for. Why would I look at another person? Said you, what is even worse, you say, 1 year satu minibio. And I will compare what you have done with that power, compare with what is available to me, manya. As a citizen of this guy, I don't need to talk to any big man before I get job. But the situation today in Ghana, this a penibi akasamau. I completed in Fancy in 95. Me kotichi me chair idea 1 year. Straight me draw I can say application to control and accountancy. I'm farming. So I worked for 7 years before going to the University of Cape Coast.
The first, you know, the
so
we senior secondary school.
Exactly.
Six form near the
penibia and the minim penibia. Me papa onye obia.
What application?
Me throw application before omo farming. Omo farming. Me first posting omo di me call copyright. Now that time you know, Madam I can't say Mrs. Former Education, former Attorney General. Now no na oye Executive Secretary. Not so far under NDC. This woman, she's now a member of Council of State. She's now a Council of State. Oba. Modi Drisu. Madam Modi Drisu. Now no na oye Executive Secretary. Betty Modi Drisu. But me call her now. What for me? After some 3 weeks, what's he? Yes, he. Upese u tuaso ekosko. Me say aye. Intina, but if you enye so me ba be juma na metima save na metima ko. And then she advised me. She said, then if that is the case, go back to controller. So I said, okay. I oblige, I listen to her. Omo me call back. Controller edimi share Ministry of Health. Ministry of Health knows omo post me call man provi polyclinic. So for 7 years, na me my provi. Me start here politics now Penia sabi me boss the current chief accountant judicial service Charles Ida my duma woni nasi oni me pair so onu oba who say they pay me cuz I say why do you learn to talk because in office yes. Me that quiet but women me be so active because of injustice on the campus of University of Cape Coast. As at around 2001, Ubo say we NDC near boy mau campus. Kofi Adams. Kofi Adams was the regional youth organizer. Boy mau, but I hate injustice. Bibi asebio pariparinho. O fa na who say MPP 4 year or minti in an open space. We should share NDC. Omu ye mintia. Cafeteria no bridge bi can steps bi or na omu na say omu ye minti. So me community first year me ko business dey. Omu say hey how there me say oh there be. The former Ideal College. Omu boss presenter. Omu boss. The owner of Ideal College. I can say Onusu be Council of State. Or me organizer. Team organizer. I can say Ideal College. I can say is it Ideal College or Ideal Finance?
Ideal Finance, okay.
Ideal Finance, the owner. No. Now we me organizer at University of Cape Coast. It was a tough thing, but you roam until you na oduru timi we win. So we have worked for this, and we have pursued what is just.
And for Okujani,
yes, Okujani. Yeah, he was my Onuna me organizer. Time I'm here. President of thing. So at least we have served the interests of this party. Okay. As Omika said, John Mahama, a fantastic president. So far, it appears that he's pressing the right button. I listened to Dr. Professor CPP, former flag bearer, Professor Akusa. Okay. He said that from what he's looking at the way Mahama is doing, it appears since his inauguration, he's saying the right things. Now, what he's left with him is the implementation of what he's saying.
Yes.
Or to me, implement here. Or see, some of them have no reason than to join to help so that at least the party remain, because it will confirm the philosophy and programs of Nkrumah.
But I'll say, Alaji Alidu Haruna na yetini Kamamenko, Honorable Daniel Kwesi Ashama, Honorable Yentiwe, National Dialogue,
America Supreme Court, by 5-4 majority. That Trump see or foreign aid or manu or suspending or see Debbie NC.
Penasem na nema
penasem, but they are all chi I can't say hustlers. But I like him because of need declaration.
I'm so bad 2 weeks ago maybe farms be brave foreigners no mu. I say a cattle farming be we say Mexicans use home says no very
any country that will fight against foreigner, that country will collapse. Mark it.
Farmers in super. Yeah, National Economic Dialogue. The
economic dialogue, it was a planting during the campaign time. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama Eka said, so we near you better have economic dialogue. Adentina Okasa Assembly. Because from 2021, Edibedu 2024. Na sena enyama esi ekoso ewo memu. Na enhia se ye be frega na fo ni nyina omwo opepa na yentuatu adwen. Se oman no ye dia. What can we do to bring the Black Star back again to the table of nations? Because if you Nana Dumresu no oba ye do mustati njuma banks ni ebebre akọ sa banks ekoye no unemployment edi baye amasika susu esa wo system no Bank of Ghana chisika no akoto them in the name of 9 banks and 432 microfinances no ena wodi abie bank ba kupe Consolidated Bank of Ghana in the name of all these banks. So you cannot work hard. And who free horses are who say so many uncompleted jobs. And Muna you at the tail end of Nanado, with your interchanges now. Oh, yeah, we kakrabia, near canning na kona coffee, dancing more kona na bala
agenda 111.
Yeah, and agenda 111 a Jumana Pitiagu Hosa.
Uncompleted.
Profoya Mombodia digana sikai wienu afe no musi omu ye juma. Okodru parliamenta and I 13,000 kilometers of road and I say atroni na dasa. Batusha udika tu kwanya efa bebinuma amanfo su se kwanye amanfo hwe bridge ye hundra onabagboja koye omukofye abanti akonyasu mama contract 8 good months obi anye hofi bridge no ebubu usafro osusu a ubehun se ye capital market no ya bobusia sa amoma pamiye Africa capital market intiye ntumi nsanko gi euro bond bio enu echikra no na esese yenko IMF echiri kra yesa koye no esese yensa be Ghana for sika through the DDP wa wutie mi nsema mika ni nyina e kiro se niam nkoye e wo man mu akoti se ka bia esane bipo no yetro na driver no say ya no to steer no ama manfo say Jesus Allah say ya ubehia na ka no vram koye. So Mahama saw all these things etiefo amutie mi mbet kai say papa bi etumi tina TV so say or Tony Koko afomu de magalamse ni
mekai
Ubekai
and last year
Otto Koko afomu
say no anefu
yes na o disika kire say sasika manye bi da mi do Koko afomu manye bi da say galamse fo abremisika eno disika di
ton emi amefu
do get right endra mini opanyi bi e ho parliament na ye di nkomo o se onu ankasa ni sister ni omuko no China fo aba be ma musika be say $100,000 say omunto omo asase about say 11 to 12 we acres no emfa mom no mu fan 2 there gold and na ni sister friend no and no catch ni sister and say hey mentor a portion of the land which will be around 6 acres no don't sell it, leave it there like that or see ni kunu aton na sase eji dollars oji dollars no wie no e na wakope tax me no ni trotro baako wan se no nipa tumi kope efunu daka to ho mane ho na trotro we no anche within 1 year tax no esi blocks so duga so unya ska fufro sika no susu mba trotro susu eno susu asei afa ni sister no eno friend say hey minia aseba okade asio na sese no mikunu no wato ni Koko afom sika no nyina akọ gas susu asei na onu ni Koko afom no eda so ho o si last year say onya 18 bags every afternoon. So you multiply even 8, even though my bonana do Jesus cano ndo sukrano, but multiply 18 by 3. Now ube say woman wanyaska nti adididanu yesi ba ye Koko afom no susu no esabe say Mahama Eko no na ye wo 966,000 metric tons and I tie afibia 2016 and I ate the coy.
It's above from crowd.
They say above from to 330 and ponu yako jisika di ya nya Koko no amfa nkoma. Ghana for mutie ne nanado ye o. Ye kasa enya say ye kasa kwa. Wetumi akoji 330 metric ton sika no edi ya nya Koko no amfa nko. Indi say afiwe se Mahama to Koko anabwe kuafo mu fertilizer muti Koko a gise ye ase etua ne nanado mu gidiye ansa na betumi. So that also signals a problem. Ye kwaye ya senu about 44, it signals a problem. Our water bodies polluted, it signals a problem. Na usafri osusa ube hu se free SHS susu nkoda nye duani endi it signals a problem. Galamse nsem wo ho ufri ho agenda 111 enu de ya bona asem interchanges ya kana asem any taxes are odibe gusu for the first time nanado edi excise duty meaning say we a business. Excise duty is duties imposed on locally manufactured goods. Meaning if you are talking about one district, one factory, and outside the tax edi to locally manufactured, how can that company make profit? Those are the problems and things that Ghanaian businesses were going through. Inti Mahama winning way or say no. SSA for Ghana for agrono de nanado asay agrono match no asay ya lusu poto. So we need ideas to bring. Uko say we need ideas. Na bibiwa na muni ideas. No, Ghana belongs to 33 million Ghanaians. And so if we need ideas to what? To do things right so that Ghana will move forward. No, obi a wo pepa no ese self fa dream fambra Koko ekuani fa dream bra apopofon for my dream bra minus for my dream bra teacher for doctor for nurse for pilot for soldier for obi fa na dream bra. That was the brain behind the economic dialogue. senya yebeye yesiesie niama because Nana-Addo kono oma bobusian to the extent say Nana-Addo nkwa ohwe ATS obobusian about 631 billion Ghana cedis when one to me amfa nhwe SSS ye obeti free SHS susun wasati secretariat achiche sika ma MPP for this inkodantia uji sika all money no inkoda kita chance kire o TV so say komodio mu. So what type of governance is this? The hospitals are there. Enye no na waka bed eni ho obi ko hospital omusi kofie as a doctor beba be hu wo fie o ba osi kofie nti se wo sukura wo kole doctor beba be hwe wo
obi kura na wa top plastic chair na no team hey serious
that is the situation that we saw intinu that is the brain behind say bring ideas, let us see what we can do to better our situation. So enuna ama say yes ideas no eba say oh say na koko asem ese kono aban se so fa kwambia nso no mbo koko ekuafo because Ghana is cocoa and cocoa is Ghana. Now the more people you support to grow more cocoa, the more economic empowerment you give to the citizens of this country, and that is the way you go. And the more you give economic empowerment to the cocoa farmer will give more economic empowerment to the children in the basic schools, buy their uniform, sandals and all those things. Nina County the policies that will kneel to the benefit of the masses, not a few. That is what we're looking for. Inti Ube who say almost say land reclamation. To say galamsey for say assassin as say buying pesca. Na ye reclaim assassin. Na ye cocoa and canu winning so that we will be able to engage the youth. The youth who were doing galamsey no niente omo galamsey ni say nipa bi didi adichia nipa da sanibe didi na obeye dia didi inti SSA aban no on bring out some program through the Ministry of Agriculture na ye enroll this youth na omuntumi reclaim asasi emra who engage omo to replant no na omo bibi kakra sebusumi so na omo susu edi numu so achope. And when we move on to that way, that will be the right thing. Now you realize that food inflation, I saw it is one of the this thing. Say to me and bebre, ama food inflation about that one. Then things will continue to go bad. So there is a need to support the farming sector, the agro sector, the livestock sector, the fishery sector. Senya yet bit to me nkukon kitia MPP for omu mpese muti, but they be anopa omu biboko shanum ti anopa o MPP for no and ntina me catch say obi ba wo yes obi su chenwa no ye be for just no na ku obusi aninu. So we need to put our resources together. Then you go to the energy sector. She send ehwa society pasa. Ube wa eka da ho. Eka weni nyina echimu. MPP for omu MD ni wenu ebie 84 accounts. 84 accounts no meaning say uti ha say wo company we 84 accounts a ube wu say mponchi kura betumi akọ withdraw sika. Say mre dura na wura fi say account number 35 no egusu ye juma na poncha ko yisika na nkuko susu akoyi sika na ndui no mu yisika say ya na busumi so na ye boka it is say no Mahama say let us close all those accounts to have only one account. Say near according to say leaky bucket approach, those who do business no understand ni nyina de enko go ho na yemfanye ejuma contractors for susu SSA ntio muka so many billions. Let us find a way because they are Ghanaians. The more you give them money, the more they redistribute this money into the economy, and so it empowers the economy very well. And then about all these things ni nyina no na SSA say taxes on goods and other things, you know, SSA, Embra form. The listening of SOEs and SMEs. Sena Ebema say, and Sana Nipan Betumia Jilon, we see the caliber of the person you have appointed, the qualification for him to be the CEO or the head of that state-owned enterprise. All these things helps to build up a very good government. And Muntina Yedi Omokoe. And no Musisu Akoka. Nia Eye Deninina say, the finance minister Atufos say in send you on be fanu to send the Bible ama ne dia ye djuma e die na ye fe e chenwe
Alaja Alidu, yeah, call anti Mecca say 40 seconds. Me 40 seconds.
Me that say.
Kakrobeka na ye remember honorable na in
me they disrespect me to appointees, you know. Sometimes, you know, ye framework and you say bia obi pe bibi. Because MRP, you know, mu ya appointees, you know. Mu ankasa mu nko amu ntimi ye dwuma no.
The correct.
Yeah, yewo echire na ebetima aboa.
Bi adwentre bi
ketekra. Sabio memanya obi a oba na o kita hospital equipment any dey kika. Me ye effort say me pese me nshia. Oma kwan. Na oma kwan no enye me na me lusu ye o. O man no any Ghana for na o mo lusu. Inti misre who send the message at least 3 days no reply. It is serious. It is quite disrespectful for somebody to waste his time to send a message to you and refuse to reply. It means that you have no value for the person. Meanwhile, you don't know who will bring something that will be beneficial to the people. So I beg you, even the president, when he receives message, he replies. What of you as an appointee? So sometimes let's be careful. And he has admonished, say, Yenshwe, Niema Biohwa. And that is worse because we say Nipano SND na untieno and unfinwa. It creates some kind of depression. Now Nipano say, oh, okay, sir. Then the people will begin to be praying for your downfall. That is not what we should do.
Medase Alaja Alidu. Honorable. Kakrebi time.
Yeah, can say at least I've had a of even this afternoon I've been able to meet Honorable Akando in his office, but you know you have to go and then wait. I said no, we're meetings be brief, and I have the opportunity to also meet Honorable Buja. I had the opportunity to meet my daddy Haruna Idrisu. I think 2 times I occur in the office. Okay. And Honorable Rikopoku Susama me text message. Inti meba matise when Oh no.
Okay.
It is about meeting them. They should open the gates.
Okay.
For more people. My name must say text message there. Mina ebi ngwanti who they say adajina ko.
Okay.
Akotina ho.
Mamenda. Okay.
The message is the easiest.
Okay. Mamenda honorable Daniel Kwesi Ashama, so former member of parliament the ma buem in the Oti region. Zazra Menko honorable Alaji Alidu Haruna ho. Ekuku damine ni omudi dwumade from Nicholas Yawusi Olsen, which we are from King Nicholas. Yemo muso the news papa in Akane ye de bro. Akrada akoni Kwia Krantman. Timo Fidi Nkoso and the TVXYZ any Power 97.9 FM. Good evening.